Jim Carrey is a name that doesn't just belong to comedy, but defines it. For decades, he's been the master of chaos, the unpredictable force who can twist a scene into something no script could ever contain. His improvisation isn't just quick-witted, it's explosive, disarming, and impossible to prepare for. Time and time again, Carrey pushed moments so far past their limits that even the most disciplined actors can't hold their ground. These weren't bloopers. They weren't accidents. They were flashes of instinct. Raw comedy erupting in real time. What should have been ordinary takes transformed into iconic moments that still echo through pop culture today. And at the center of it all were the co-stars who simply couldn't keep a straight face. This is the story of those unforgettable moments when Jim Carrey broke the rest of the cast, Jim Carrey's comedy chaos when improv became iconic. When you think of Jim Carrey in his prime, 3 movies instantly come to mind: Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura. These films didn't just make him a household name. They showcased his absolute mastery of improvisation, and honestly, half the funniest moments you remember from these movies, totally unscripted. Take Dumb and Dumber. There's that scene where Lloyd saw the headline of the newspaper and Jim suddenly yells, "We landed on the moon." No way, that's great, we landed on the moon, that wasn't in the script. Carrey just threw it out there because he saw the newspaper prop on set and it was too good to pass up. The cast and crew lost it and it ended up becoming one of the film's most quoted lines. That's Jim turning a random detail into comedy gold. Or how about the big gulps, moment? Picture this. Jim walks out of a convenience store and there are a couple of extras holding big gulps. Jim casually nods and says, "Big gulps, well, see you later." "Hey guys." "Oh, big gulps, Alright, well, see you later." The awkward silence wasn't scripted either. Those extras weren't prepped, they had no lines. Jim just riffed. And that bizarre interaction became comedy legend. Then there's The Mask. Everyone remembers the balloon gag. Jim's character pulling out what looks like a condom and quickly blurted, "Sorry, wrong pocket." Wow, now, sorry, wrong pocket, yep. That wasn't in the script either. That quick thinking moment actually shocked the crew, but it worked so perfectly with the cartoonish energy of the film that they couldn't cut it. And let's not forget Ace Ventura when nature calls. That scene where he's in the jungle doing the ridiculous tribal singing and moving like some kind of wild bird. Pure Carrey improvisation. Bang 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 foring bang 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 are fine for bang 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 bang. Yeah, he tapped into his physical comedy instincts and created something so strange and hilarious that co-stars were visibly trying not to break. Even years later in Dumb and Dumber 2, Jim couldn't resist going off script. The bit where Lloyd sits catatonic for decades just to pull off a prank. That whole setup came from Jim pushing the scene further than anyone expected. "Hey, come on. Come on. Come on. Spit it out. God. Yeah, wait a minute. So, you mean you have been faking for 20 years, What ties all these moments together is simple. Unpredictability. Jim Carrey didn't just follow the script. He rewrote it in real time. And the cast had no choice but to keep up. Off-script brilliance and surprises noon saw coming. When it comes to Jim Carrey, the line between what's scripted and what's pure lightning in a bottle improv is almost impossible to pin down. Some of his most unforgettable moments weren't carefully written or rehearsed. They were born in the chaos of the moment, shocking even his co-stars and directors. Let's dig into the times Carrey ripped up the rulebook and created movie magic out of thin air. Take Me, Myself, and Irene. There's that goodbye scene where Carrey's character leans in and unexpectedly asks his 3 sons for a kiss. The first 2 boys play along, but when the camera lands on the third, there's this tiny flicker of hesitation. Totally real, completely unscripted. "Oh, I gotta get out of here. I don't want to have to bust a cat." Kisses. "Daddy, see you later." It's awkward, tender, and hilarious all at once. That one spontaneous choice reshaped the scene into something raw and authentic. The kind of moment you can't fake even with the best script in the world. And then later in the same film, there's the cliffside countdown with Renee Zellweger. The script called for a slow, steady count of 1, 2, 3, but Jim barrels through the numbers at lightning speed, ready on 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 39. You can see Zellweger almost lose it, teetering on the edge of breaking character. It's Carrey weaponizing surprise to keep everyone, including his co-stars, completely off balance. The same magic hit the set of Liar Liar. In own scene, Jim sprints across the sidewalk to stop his ex-wife, only to genuinely trip and fall mid-run. Wait, hold on. Wait. I just had an insight into myself. I'm crazy. Most actors would stop, reset, and try again. Not Jim. He stayed locked into character, folding the accident into the performance like it had been planned all along. Then there's the infamous bathroom brawl with himself. Music, what was supposed to be a bit of physical comedy, exploded into an all-out war. Jim slamming himself into walls, thrashing on the floor, even bruising himself for real. Nearly every beat off it was improvised, and that wild energize why the sequence remains one of the funniest of his entire career. And who could forget Bruce Almighty? Sitting at a computer, newly endowed with God's powers, Bruce starts answering prayers through email. But instead of a normal typing speed, Jim goes berserk. His fingers blur across the keyboard, tapping at a speed that looks almost superhuman. Music, none of that was in the script. It was Carrey once again cranking up the absurd until it reached genius-level comedy. These moments are proof that Jim Carrey isn't just funny, he's unpredictable. He thrives on risk, constantly daring to derail the expected in order to find something real, something electric, whether it's a heartfelt kiss, a pratfall, or a battle with himself. His off-script brilliance is what turned good scenes into unforgettable ones, improvs that broke co-stars. This is where Jim Carrey goes from funny to downright uncontainable. These are the moments when his improv was so wild, even his co-stars couldn't keep a straight face. Let's start with the cable guy. Remember the dinner scene? Out of nowhere, Jim peels off a piece of chicken skin, slaps it on his face, and goes full Hannibal Lecter. That was note in the script. Silence of the land. Hello, Clarice, it's good to see you again. You can literally see Matthew Broderick fighting back a laugh like, what the hell am I looking at right now? That's Jim turning dinner into nightmare fuel and comedy gold at the same time. Then in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, we get one of my favorite Carrey improv wins, the tablecloth gag. He rips the cloth out from under a fully set table, and somehow everything stays perfectly in place. But instead of celebrating the flawless move, Jim storms back and wrecks the whole table. Total chaos. And the best part, that wasn't planned either. Only Jim could turn a magic trick into a demolition derby and make it hilarious. Over in Fun with Dick and Jane, he takes a simple stunt and makes it unforgettable. Jim's supposed to drop from the ceiling, but totally botches the landing. Most actors would freeze and call cut, not Jim. He just rolls with it and acts like nothing happened in the most natural yet hilarious way. That's improv doing its job, turning a mistake into a moment you can't forget. And then we get Lemony Snicket's, a series of unfortunate events. Cars Count Olaf ice already over the top, but there's this bit where he forgets his line, "You are mistaken, sir. You should be ashamed of yourself." The idea, instead of breaking the scene, he starts making sounds like Donald Duck. Thekid's reactions, pure confusion. You can tell they weren't expecting it, which makes it even better. But the crown jewel of co-star breaking chaos. His Saturday Night Live lifeguard sketch with Will Ferrell. Carrey goes all in, whistles blaring. Screaming at an empty pool like it's the Olympics. Ferrell, who's usually the one making everyone else lose it, was completely caught off guard. Slide back to the wall. You are blocking the bubble jet. Seeing Will Ferrell almost break in the middle of a sketch, that's how you know Jim Carrey's improv power is next level. These scenes prove that when Jim's in the room, no one is safe. Not the props, not the set, and definitely not his co-stars. He doesn't just play the scene. He flips it upside down, leaving everyone else scrambling to keep up. Comedy meets heart. When Jim showed real emotion, sometimes Jim Carrey's improv isn't just funny, it hits you right in the feels. These are the moments where comedy and raw emotion collided, and Jim gave us something way more powerful than Let's start with The Truman Show. There's that quiet scene where Truman stands in front of the mirror and draws an astronaut helmet with soap. Totally unscripted. Hereby proclaim this planet, Jim used to doodle stuff like that a foam. And in the moment, He just let Truman's loneliness leak out through this playful, almost childlike act. It's silly, but also heartbreaking because you feel the weight of Truman's isolation. The scene turned into one of the most iconic visuals of the movie. Then we've got Yes Man. Everyone remembers the wild improv energy in that film, but one of the standout surprises when Jim suddenly starts speaking fluent Korean. That's okay. I'll talk to her, say yo. No one saw it coming. He actually took the time to learn it for real. And when it drops it into the scene, it feels so authentic and hilarious at the same time. It's proof that Jim doesn't just go for easy laughs. He commits so deeply it makes you respect the craft. And speaking of commitment, Man on the Moon, Jim fully embodied Andy Kaufman. And one of the rawest improv moments came when it jumped into a wrestling ring, yelling at the crowd, "Are you listening to me? Are you listening to me?" None of that was scripted. He just unleashed this chaotic energy, channeling Kaufman's unpredictable style. It's funny, it's aggressive, and it's uncomfortable in the best way. A perfect tribute to Andy's rebellious spirit. Now for a lighter one. Yes, Man again, but this time the impromptu Can't Buy Me Love duet with Zoe Deschanel, Diamond Rings and I'll Be Satisfied. They hopped on stage and belted it out live out of nowhere. That authenticity is what makes it shine, because you're not watching actors perform. You're watching two people have a blast in the moment. And finally, the pure absurdity of Peon Pie. In this short film, Jim drives around in a bed that's literally converted into a car, singing an Elvis-style tune. The whole concept came out of a spontaneous idea between him and director Michel Gondry. They barely planned it. They just hit the streets and captured genuine reactions from bystanders. It's silly, surreal, and strangely heartwarming. That's Jim at his best. Not just thinking of improv comedy, but an artist who can sneak